Sheikh said that we will not make it long for you, inshallah. Make it long, inshallah, but we need to get out with a complete foundation and basis on what we said today. We still remind you that there are 3 facts. No one knows the unseen except Allah. We explained that. The remaining 2, that no one has the ability to do judgment or to do the persecution except Allah, and your loyalty or disassociation only based on the iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one has the ability to make anything halal, lawful or forbidden except Allah and His Rasul through the Quran and the Sunnah. This is what emphasized in the Quran. Whenever you debate or dispute among anything among yourselves, you have to take it back to Allah and His Rasul. Not only that, but you don't have to feel any discomfort in your heart. And this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed us. Not only, as many people think, this is addressed to the authorities or to the leadership, but to each and every single person, at the individual level, at the community level, on the state level, and your family level, at the social level, or social aspect, or political aspect, or any other aspect. So anyone who makes anything lawful or forbidden, he is associated with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he is moving away the commitment to this beautiful deen of Allah. So in all our affairs, in all our disputes, in everything, we have to go back to the book of Allah and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and we have to agree and submit completely. The one who created is the one who guides. Allah, as He had the ability to create, and He is the one who creates without any associate. Also, Allah is the one who guides without any associate, and this is emphasized in many ayat of the Quran. He is the one who created, and He is the one who guides. This guidance is one of two types, and those 2 types have to be in the heart of each and every person, not one of them. One is the universal guidance, and one is the Sharia guidance. The universal guidance is what Allah decreed on everybody, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, and we decreed that the children of Israel were corrupt. That doesn't mean that Allah has ordered them to corrupt, but Allah decreed. The other one, that Allah ordained for you to worship no other than Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, astaghfirullah, no other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the Sharia guidance. Both has to be there, that Allah is the decree, Allah has the power to decree, Allah is the one who guides, and Allah is the one who put the laws and constitution according to which we behave and we act in this world. Without them, they will not be believers, and Allah negated the belief if anybody does not go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasul. For a believer, men or women, there will be no choice. Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasul decide something, whoever disobeys Allah and Rasul, he went astray greatly, of course. This is the second part of, or the second fact of Iman. And in each and every community, there are the set of rules that everybody agrees on in our life. It is the constitutions and the bylaws, like the traffic and so on and so forth. As a child would say, if anybody break a red light and say this is illegal, we want to raise our kids also, if there is any limit of Sharia transgressed, to say also it is illegal. Same thing. Because it goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as they said, the freedom is like a river flowing between 2 coasts or 2 shores. One is the rules of Allah, and one is the constitutions and the traditions of the people. If one of them transgress the other, there will be a great corruption. The third fact, that always your loyalty and disassociation, when you gather or when you leave, it should be based on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and believing in Allah. Even if you don't know your brothers and sisters, regardless, they are thousands of miles away from you, they are different cultures and different nationalities. All of us agree, and all of us has loyalty to each other, while the others we disassociate from just based on the aqidah level, but it does not mean that we become aggressive or become extreme, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, as long as they are not trying to harm you or harm your religion, you have to be just and fair to them. So this is one of the principles of the deen. Always in our countries, whether we are living in our communities, whether we are living in the land of Islam or not, there will be always attack from those 2 sides. People want to change the constitution and the laws to replace the constitution and laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they want to exchange the history of Islam that gathers these people together, regardless of their place or time, by other history or by other commitment, segments of history, like they want to bring the Pharaonic history or Phoenician history or this or that, instead of the history of Islam that will gather all these people, and this is how it is attacked. Sheikh said it was shocking to me when I was in one of the Arab Muslim countries, and I always noticed that the masjid is in a very far area from the area that people live in, especially it is as if it's supposed to be hidden. The issue now becoming or being a follower of a religion, it's as if it is some thing to be ashamed of, and something has to be covered, and that's why they put the masajid in different places that it's not accessible. And the Sheikh went on to explain that all the new isms in this world, it is all, whether they call it democracy, whether they call it communism, whether they call it liberalism or socialism or fascism or all that, it does not have any Islamic roots. The only Islamic root, the only Islamic voice is the voice that comes and the voice that expresses all different segments of society, regardless wherever they are, even though this voice is it is not heard and it is attacked, but it will have the last word, inshallah. This does not mean that we transgress the servants of Allah, but we invite people and we base our relationship based on the Iman, this is the Aqidah part, but in the social aspect, we have to deal fairly to everybody, because Rasulullah said, whoever transgresses the covenant of anybody of the people of covenant, I will be the one who will argue with him in the day of judgment. That's what is the meaning of the ayah of Allah, that truly your awliya or your allies are Allah, His Rasul and the believers, and whoever take those as their awliya or their allies, they will be among the group of Allah, and the group of Allah is the ones that they will win at the end. Lastly, the Sheikh said, there is no problem, and we are not against people to be relating themselves to certain ethnicities, Arabs or non-Arabs, Pakistanis or Egyptians or this or that, or relating themselves to certain land, where is the country are from, or belonging to one of the fiqh schools or jurisprudence school, or even belonging to some specific sect in Islam that it is engaging itself in one of the branches of knowledge, like the hadith or fiqh or ibadah or jihad or that. There is nothing wrong as long as it is only to identify oneself. But if it becomes the basis of being close to others, who are with me is with me, whoever is not with me is against me, this is not, that's what we are against, and this has even happened at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. While belonging to Muhajirin or Ansar, one of the greatest and most honorable things, even though when they took it as a nationality or they took it as tribalism, Rasulullah said, leave it, it is rotten. This cannot be done while I'm among you. And of course, the Sheikh hinted that this cannot be done while the Sunnah of Rasulullah also is among us. We have to rearrange our papers and we have to reorganize our priorities to know that only the loyalty of this association is based on believing in Allah alone, because secularism wasted this. Secularism started attacking Islam from that very aspect. For every, Sheikh said, last advice, for each and every movement who tries to build a generation or even try to defend their own deen, they have to start from those three facts. They have to start from this Iman, and if this starts right, it will lead to right, because if you start right, you will end right, inshallah. The Sheikh said one more thing very important that he will mention, inshallah. The point that the Sheikh wanted is the dua. And also, to be honest, the Sheikh said that as a manifestation of what we just studied, this connection and the depth of this connection, that since we have Arabic and the English translation, it does not mean that the lecture finishes once the last segment of Arabic is said. So even those who understand Arabic and the lecture is finished for you, does not mean you just leave your brothers and make them feel that they have to stay behind to catch up. So this is, again, the Sheikh's reflection on what he just said. So it's very important that we all live together